In our last video, we created the views and started creating the templates for our blog project. In this one, we're going to finish creating the templates, and then we'll show the whole project up and running. So let's go ahead and change to our posts templates directory and create a new file which we're going to call postdetail.html. When this has been created, open it up. And as before, we want to say that this extends our base.html. And then we supply the block content tag as well. So everything that we put in here is going to go into the block content of our base.html. Now that we've done that, I'm just going to paste in some content here. This is just all fairly standard Bootstrap. We're creating a new row and columns. We're also providing a hard-coded link to our profile image, and our author is going to be Neil. So now we'll create another class here in Bootstrap, SM10 and MD9. And in here then we're going to use an if statement, the inline if. And if the post has an image, then we want to display it. So if the post has an image, then this tag will be inserted into the template. We're going to give it the class of image blog post, which we've done in our CSS. And our source is our media URL, and then the link to the image. Finally, we can end that block with end if. Again, in the curly brackets with the % signs. So now let's put a heading for our blog post. Again, the two curly brackets now showing that this is a variable we're inserting, and post.title. Again, I'm going to paste some content in here, but we'll just talk about it briefly. So we're creating a new row. Extra small screen will have column width of 9, and then we have our post content, again inside the two curly braces, the publish date, the views, and the tag. And here a little bit different now, we're using our get posts URL name and our edit post URL name, where we pass in the post ID, and we're having two buttons there. So now that that content is created, we can end the block and save our file. We have copied and pasted quite a bit of the text from the repository here. You can download all of this from the repository as well, but it is a good idea to try typing it so that you can get practice. Now, before we go on to create our final template, we need to open a terminal window because we want to install a new library. So make sure that your virtual environment is enabled, very important. Just clear the screen here for ease. And in order to create our last template, which is going to be a form to create a new blog post, we're going to install the Django Forms Bootstrap library. And this will allow us to render a form easily without having to do a lot of styling on it. So when that's installed, go into our settings.py in installed apps and add Django_forms_bootstrap and a comma there to our installed apps. And remember to use the underscores instead of the hyphens. So now that's created, save our settings.py file, and then we're going to create our final template in the posts templates directory. This is going to be called blogpostform.html. So go ahead and open it up. Again, as with all of our other templates, it extends the base.html file. But this time, before block content, we're going to load the Bootstrap tags. This is something that the Django Forms Bootstrap library provides for us to allow us to format our forms nicely. And you'll see how easy this is in just a minute. So add our block content tag again. So everything that's in here will go in the block content section of our base.html. We'll add a h1 with new post. Now a form. So the method is going to be post, and we're going to provide the MIME type here for the encryption. So this is going to be a multi-part form data type. And then we're going to generate a CSRF token, a cross-site request forgery token. We'll talk about this again in a second. But now putting our form in is as easy as just putting it in here in the two curly braces with the pipe sign and then as_bootstrap. The Bootstrap library will take care of the rest. Finally, we'll create our submit button with save. And then that's it. Our form has been created. Simple and easily. So let's return to our CSRF token. This is a protection mechanism provided by Django to make sure that your website isn't vulnerable to cross-site request forgery attacks. Now you can read more about that on the internet if you want. Bootstrap takes care of this under the bonnet, so we don't have to. But it's a very good practice to remember to include CSRF token in every form that we create. Finally, let's now create our super user. Now that all of our views and templates have been created. So do that with .manage_py, create super user. We'll call ours admin. We'll give a made-up email address here because it doesn't matter. And then we'll just provide a password. There's no visual feedback of the password as we're typing it. And then we get super user created successfully. So now let's test it. We'll have a look at what our project looks like. So ./manage.py run server, $IP : $port. And when we click on our link now, we can see that we have a very nice looking and very simple and straightforward blog. Now there are two ways to create posts. One is using that new post button. The other is to log into the admin back end of our Django blog. So do that using the username and password that we created. And now we can see down here under posts, if we click on add, then we can create a first blog post. As you can see, I've done this before. So let's put some content in. Say this is my first post on my new blog. As we can see, the published date and time are set to now. Views at the moment is 0 because nobody's looked at it yet. And we'll give this the tag of meta. Now it appears as a post object, and when we click on View Site, here we can see my first blog post. We don't have Neil's happy profile picture yet, but we'll sort that out soon. And when we click on Read More, it opens our post detail view. We can go back to the blog, we can edit the post, so let's do that. This opens up the form we created. We'll add a new line, and we'll say, I like it very much. We're not going to add an image or any new tags. So we save that. And now as we can see, the new content has gone in there. So let's just get the media uploaded now. Again, you can find this in the repository. I'm just going to drag it and drop it in from my local computer here. So just drag it in, drop it into the images folder. Let's make sure it goes in the right images folder. So just drag that in there. Very good. And now when we refresh our page, we can see that we have Neil's happy, smiling profile picture, and we also have our logo. Let's just test out our new post form and add another new blog post. We'll call this one my second blog post. And this is my second blog post. It's just as exciting as the first. Very good. And we'll add a tag. Meta again. So when we save it and go back, we can see that that appears here. We go back to our blog and both posts appear. So that concludes the first part of our Django blog mini project.